When I first started managing inventory, I thought the goal was simple, just keep things in stock. But I quickly found out how easy it is to mess it up. I ran out of bestsellers at the worst time and overstocked items that barely moved. Inventory planning isn't just about staying stocked, it's about timing, pattern recognition, and learning to run lean without getting caught off guard. Once I understood the basics, everything started running smoother. In this video, I'm breaking down the core concepts that help me go from reactive to in control, so you don't have to learn the hard way. Back in the day, I was always behind. Orders showing up late, stockouts happening every week, cash tied up in products that weren't selling. What I didn't realize was that I wasn't actually planning inventory, I was just reacting to problems. Inventory planning means having the right products in the right quantity at the right time. It sounds simple, but getting it right takes data, structure, and a different mindset. Once I started treating inventory like a system, not just a list of items, I finally got ahead of the chaos. So if you're running a store, big or small, and still feel like you're always behind on stock, I've been there. I tried guessing, I tried spreadsheets, I made all the mistakes. What finally helped me get a handle on things were a few simple concepts. Once I understood these, the whole process got easier, faster, and a lot less expensive. This was one of the hardest things for me to get right in the beginning, because I used to rely on gut instinct alone. If something looked like it would sell, I would stock up. If it didn't, I ignored it. That worked just long enough to get me into trouble. One time I ordered 200 units of a trending product just because a competitor was selling it. It flopped. Meanwhile, I ran out of one of my own bestsellers because I didn't bother checking last month's numbers. That's when I stopped guessing and started looking at actual patterns, past sales, seasonality, growing curves. Forecasting isn't magic, it's about paying attention. The more I trusted the numbers, the fewer surprises I had. For a long time, I thought keeping extra inventory was just tying up cash. Why sit on product when that money could go elsewhere? Then I ran a weekend flash sale without checking my backup stock, orders flooded in, and I ran dry halfway through. Spent the next week sending refunds and apologies. That's when I stopped seeing safety stock as extra. It's not padding, it's protection. A smart buffer against the stuff you can't control. Reordering used to be pure guesswork. I'd wait until the shelf looked low and then rush an order. No system, just vibes. I had one product selling 8 units a day with a 6-day lead time, but I kept waiting until it was nearly gone. By the time the new stock showed up, I'd already missed a week of sales. Once I sat down and did the math, everything changed. Reorder points are simple: how fast it sells, how long it takes to arrive. Get that right and you never have to panic order ever again. I thought I had my timing dialed in, but shipments kept showing up late. The problem is I was relying entirely on the supplier's shipping estimate and forgetting everything that came before and after. One time a supplier told me shipping would take 5 days. What they didn't mention was that it would take 3 days just to process the order and another 2 in customs. By the time it arrived, I had already been out of stock for nearly a week. Tracking the full lead time from order placement to shelf made my forecasts more accurate and less reactive. With all the ordering and timing sorted, I started paying closer attention to what was actually moving and what wasn't. For a while, I thought full shelves meant things were going well, but most of that inventory wasn't selling, it was just sitting there, tying up cash. I had one product that looked great on display but barely moved for months. Meanwhile, faster selling items kept running out because I didn't make room for them. That's why I started tracking inventory turnover. The difference it made was immediate. More cash flow, fewer dead products, better decisions. Now this one's small, but it saved me hours of work. At first I figured one product was one product, even if it came with a dozen different variations. It felt simpler, but it made tracking a nightmare. Once I started assigning individual SKUs, I finally got clarity. Reorders were easier, trends made more sense, and I wasn't overstocking just because a size no one wanted was skewing the numbers. But even with all that cleaned up, I was still doing everything by hand. Spreadsheets, sticky notes, late night math, just trying to keep up. It worked until it didn't. I was spending hours every week just to try to stay afloat. I didn't need more tricks, I needed a real system. Not something bloated, just a platform that could handle forecasting, ordering, and planning in one place without turning into another full-time job. That's what Inventory Planner ended up being. Inventory Planner pulls real-time sales data from wherever you sell, Shopify, Amazon, whatever, and shows you what's moving, what's running low, and exactly when to reorder based on your actual lead times. And it's transparent. You can see how every forecast is calculated, adjust for seasonality, and tweak settings if something feels off. It's not a black box, you're still in control. One feature I really leaned on was open to buy. It helped me to build purchase plans around revenue goals, not just gut feel, down to the cost, the units, even transfers between locations. And when it's time to reorder, it builds the purchase orders for you. No more copy pasting or missing line items. That alone saved me hours. It also syncs with all your channels, Walmart, Amazon, FBA, even retail, so everything shows up in one place. No more bouncing between tabs just to figure out what's low.
Pricing is customized for your business depending on how much inventory you're working with.
There aren't any hidden fees, but it is definitely not budget software. For smaller shops, that price might feel steep, but for me, it only made sense once I realized how much time I was spending just trying to keep up. The only hiccup I've run into here is that syncs can lag a bit sometimes, especially if you're juggling a lot of channels or back orders. Not a deal breaker, but something to keep aware of. Because I was in the market, I also tested NetStock around the same time just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. It's another solid option, especially if you're already using an ERP. It brings in a lot of data and uses AI to surface potential issues, but I had a harder time making sense of it. The insights were fine, but I couldn't always tell how it got there, or how to adjust things when something felt off.
Pricing starts at around $900 a month, depending on your integration, so it's definitely positioned more for larger teams.
For me, Inventory Planner just felt lighter, faster, and more in tune with the way I work. Forecasts were easier to control, and I was not spending time fighting the system just to get the answers I needed. Look, one thing I've learned through the years is that planning isn't just a system, it's a mindset shift. Start treating inventory as a strategic asset instead of a moving target. Once you stop reacting and start planning, everything else gets easier. Ordering, cash flow, even customer experience. And tools like Inventory Planner don't just automate tasks, they help you think differently about how your business runs. If you're thinking about trying it out, check out the link in the description. Most of the time, we can get you special deals that you wouldn't be able to get if you went straight to their website. If this helps you out, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and drop comments below. I check those regularly and always try to help out when I can. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.